An attack in southern Thailand kills 15 people, leaving behind blood-soaked streets and bullet-ridden buildings. Separatists are believed to be behind the region's worst violence in years. I'm Imran Garta, and today on The Newsmakers, we ask if Thailand's forgotten insurgency is making a comeback. It's a conflict you may not have heard much about, but it's claimed thousands of lives. An insurgency in southern Thailand with mainly Muslim Malay rebels fighting for greater autonomy. Bangkok is convinced Tuesday's attack in Yala province is the work of these militants. The roots of this secessionist movement go back more than 100 years, when the southern region was a Muslim sultanate. At the start of the 20th century, it was annexed by the Thai kingdom, leaving a legacy of historical grievances. There had been a lull in violence in recent years, but this attack has many fearing this conflict could be reigniting. Well, to discuss this, I'm joined now from Bangkok by Phongthep Thepkanjana. He's Thailand's former Deputy Prime Minister under both Thaksin and Yingluck Shinawatra. In Phuket is Kasit Piromya, who was a Democrat Party politician and Thailand's former Foreign Minister. And in Edinburgh, we have Andrew MacGregor Marshall, the author of A Kingdom in Crisis, Thailand's Struggle for Democracy in the 21st Century, a book banned in Thailand. Phongthep Thepkanjana, let me start with you. Do you fear that the insurgency has been reignited after this attack in Yala?
We have to admit that the conflict in the three provinces in the south is the conflict that has been continuing for quite a long time, as you just mentioned, more than 100 years. And it ignited from time to time, but this time we have to admit that for a couple of years, this one is considered the most serious one, because it claimed 15 lives, and it's a brutal attack. We know that the government has to continue to suppress the violence, but at the same time, the government has to negotiate and discuss with those people on the opposite side. Right. I think for a couple of years, peace talks have continued between the government of Thailand and those insurgents. The problem is that there is not only one group.
Right. And right, that's an interesting point.
Operating,
yes, and my apologies for interrupting.
In the southern part of Thailand.
Certainly, and I want to pick up on that point and ask Kasit, can we be absolutely clear who exactly has done this? Because, interestingly, it was a hit-and-run tactic, and everybody's blaming the Barisan Revolution Nasional, that revolutionary front, that insurgency, but there's been no claim of responsibility. So, with that in mind, is it actually clear even who's been behind it?
I think it's not clear. But the point is that now we have a new government, okay? A new government. So they should come out with a new policy paper and a sort of a comprehensive plan to solve the problem in the three provinces of Thailand. And then the government at the same time has all the resources, money, personnel, military, civilian, and so on. So if there is a real intention to solve the problem, I think we can. And it must be a sort of a civilian-led.
Right. Kasit, do you believe that there is the real intention or true sincerity from the government's perspective? Because there were good rumors coming through last summer around about August that there were peace talks or the beginnings of peace talks again, but that seems to have fallen apart. Who do you blame for that?
I don't blame in a sense, but I don't think that you can have a general to keep on being the chief negotiator on the part of the Thai side. From my point of view, we need a civilian negotiator, and there must be at the same time a comprehensive policy direction and plan of action. And I think it's needed at this point in time in view of the new incoming government. And the people must be told the issue must be discussed in the Thai parliament, since now we have a sort of an elected government.
Andrew Marshall, in the face of this recent terror attack, is the Thai government doing all it can?
Well, I think the Thai government is part of the problem. The Thai government are military, and they rigged the recent election to ensure that they could remain in power. And the Thai military is a strange institution. They've never fought a real war, but they need to have conflicts to justify the amount of money that they get from Thai taxpayers. So the southern conflict has always been murky. The recent attack was very striking. It was one of the most significant escalations we've seen in decades. But the Thai military and the government have not really shown any interest in solving the conflict, because they actually benefit from it by pretending that it shows that they're doing a job to kind of prevent insurgencies that are not necessarily real.
Phongthep Thepkanjana, is that fair? The Thai military and the government benefits from the insurgency continuing?
I try to interpret what Andrew just said. I think he means that because of the insurgencies, so a lot of budget must be allocated on this issue. Another one will be that because there is serious conflict in the south, right? So the military-led government should continue to govern the country. I'm not sure whether I interpreted what Andrew said correctly or not.
Okay, if you've interpreted Andrew, give us a nod. Has he interpreted that correctly?
I'm not really sure, but what I was trying to say is that the insurgency in the south is something that the Thai military is happy to encourage, because it helps them maintain their influence in Thailand.
Okay, so Phongthep, the Thai military is encouraging the insurgency in the south. Is that fair?
I think on one part, the conflict in the south may help them claim that they are in a good position to deal with that. But this government, even if it is the new government, but the junta behind this government has been in office for more than 5 years. So after 5 years governing the country, the conflict still be like this. I don't think it is a good reason for them to claim that they should continue to govern.
Right. Phongthep, I want to ask you about previous attempts at making peace, especially in the administrations that you were involved in, especially under Thaksin, right? There was, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, there was an approach to absorb some of the views and the grievances to allow for greater cultural autonomy, a version of Sharia as it was understood by people in the South, language adjustments and so on, to say, yes, you can be culturally different, but you can be Thai. But it was vetoed by the king, and a lot of Thai people who don't live in the South didn't want anything to do with this. They didn't like this. They didn't like that there were people who were going to be separate. So with that in mind, is it ever possible to try that again?
I would say that since the majority of people in the 3 provinces in the south are Muslim, while the majority of the Thai people elsewhere are Buddhist, in Thailand we allow the three provinces to have Sharia, to apply Sharia law on family and inheritance. So we use to apply special law for them, right? So I don't think that should be any problem because if we allow them to have their identity, which they may be satisfied and then the conflict may decrease. I think I remember that at that time, the former Prime Minister Anand Panjarachun led a commission, which I am one of the members. And the study from that commission to solve the conflict in the three provinces in the south, one recommendation is about how we can allow the people in the three provinces in the south to have their identity.
Kasit, is Phongthep right? Greater autonomy?
I think half right. I think in the sense that we have 77 provinces, and about half of them, about 37 provinces, inclusive of the three southern provinces, whereby the Sharia law is applicable to all the Muslims in terms of the marriage and inheritance. That's the first point. Second, in the three southern provinces, the local Malayu language, namely the Yawi, is being taught in school as a second language. Third, for the past 25 years, we did have decentralization processes in Thailand. So we have elected provincial council, we have elected municipality council, and we have elected village council, and everyone can participate. And most of these councils are in the three southern provinces are being filled by the Thai citizens who are of the Malay ethnic minorities. So there is a complete freedom and equal treatment for everyone in the Kingdom of Thailand.
Okay, well, we're going to be paying more attention to what's going on in the south, especially after that attack. This is where we thank Phongthep Thepkanjana. It's been a pleasure talking to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Newsmakers. Kasit and Andrew, you stay where you are. Now, aside from the renewed threat of violence in the south, the other major issue making news in Thailand has been the string of out-of-the-ordinary developments in the royal court. An apparent purge in the palace has been described as a power grab by the recently crowned monarch, King Rama X. He's the first new monarch in nearly 7 decades, and he appears to be wasting no time making his mark. Haider Abbasi explains how.
It's a position that was empty for nearly a century. But in July, Saninit Vajiralongkorn was appointed Noble Royal Consort to Thailand's king, the first since the absolute monarchy ended. She had already spent several years as a companion to the monarch, Maha Vajiralongkorn. Before that, she served as a 67-year-old's bodyguard. But Saninit's swift public rise was followed by a sudden fall. Last month, the king stripped her of all her royal titles. It's not clear what triggered her dismissal. But a statement from the palace said Saninit was disloyal, ungrateful, and ambitious. She was accused of trying to persuade the king to elevate her to the same status as the queen. All images of her from the palace website have disappeared, and her Instagram account has been shut down. Saninit hasn't been seen in public since. Does her sacking reveal the evolving nature of the Thai monarchy? The news has captivated Thai society, but discussions about the royal family are strictly limited. Any criticism is illegal, and anyone breaking these lèse majesté laws could be imprisoned. It does seem like Vajiralongkorn is acting like more than a ceremonial monarch. In October, he demanded powerful units of the army come under his direct command. Such control for a modern-day monarch is unprecedented. But Thailand's parliament didn't object, and since Saninit's dismissal, 4 royal guards and 6 other officials have been fired. Are these all signs of a more assertive Thai monarchy? Haider Abbasi, The Newsmakers.
Still with us, Kasit Piromya and Andrew MacGregor Marshall. Kasit, so firing half a dozen people, stripping the royal consort of her titles for evil actions. This is an enigma for a lot of people on the outside. Is this normal in Thailand?
Well, let me answer your question in this way, that when His Majesty Rama X ascended the throne, he did make the pronouncement to the public, to the Thai citizens, that he will reign the kingdom under the moral precepts. And I think in the Thai word or in the Buddhist word, it's called Dhamma. So everything will be guided by the moral principle of Buddhism. So whatever he does, I think it will be within that the confine of the Dhamma precepts and under whatever tradition of the royal court.
Andrew Marshall, one of the hardest things we've ever had to do on this show is find a Thai guest to talk about this particular part of the story. Any surprise?
Yeah, I mean, look, what Kasit just said is ridiculous, and he knows it's ridiculous. The Thai king, is on his fourth wife. He's out of control, but nobody in Thailand is allowed to say this because Thailand has a law that puts people in jail for decades for daring to criticize the monarch. So people like Kasit have to pretend that everything's fine and the monarch is behaving in regards to Buddhist precepts. But anyone who looks at the facts can see that's just ridiculous.
Kasit, I don't want to get you in trouble. Nobody wants to get you in trouble here. So, I mean, it is illegal to criticize the king, and people can spend a long, long time in jail for doing that or for doing anything that is perceived as criticism. Is that a major factor in controlling how people talk about the king?
I don't think one has to go and tell His Majesty what he has to do or not to do. He did announce to the people, let me repeat, that he will reign the kingdom under the law of the Dhamma by the moral precepts. I think it's his commitment to the people at large, and whatever he does or does not, it will be under this confine of the moral precept of Buddhism. And I can say it only that far. I think when he commits himself to the people at large, to the public, I think it's his commitment,
Right.
it's his responsibility.
Kasit, would you feel comfortable if I ask you no further questions about this?
Whatever. I think we are in a free country.
Right. Okay. I appreciate your candor. Andrew Marshall, I wonder, when the king, besides the recent news and the firing of these people, when he names his poodle an air chief marshal or an air marshal and gives his poodle a 4-day funeral full with all sorts of state Buddhist rites, is there anybody around him or in the society that would have the freedom to go, hey man, maybe this is a bit much?
No, I mean, there appears not, and this is the problem. And look, we just saw Kasit, who's a respected Thai politician, who's unable to really say anything sensible, and he's been reduced to repeating weird platitudes that the king promised to govern, lawfully, which is just nonsense. And Kasit knows this, but he can't say it. He can't say it because it's illegal for anybody in Thailand to speak out. Look, it's bad enough that the king made his poodle an air vice marshal and he wears weird clothes, but the worst part is he's interfering in Thai democracy, and Thai democracy is going backwards because nobody in Thailand is able to stand up and say that the people should have a voice, and the monarchy should not be allowed to continue dictating to people what they should do. So this is the tragedy of Thailand at the moment, and it's really interesting and sad to see someone like Kasit on this show who's really just can't say what he knows and what he thinks because he would be put in jail if he did.
Kasit, final word to you on this issue.
No. Let me say this, that I think we want to combine democracy with the kingdomness of Thailand. And I think United Kingdom, Sweden, Denmark, and so on, even Japan, or even Malaysia, they all have been able to combine the kingdomness of a country with the process of democratization. And I think we have been trying that for the past 86 years. We are still in the process of making the Kingdom of Thailand a democratic society. There have been progresses, there have been shortcomings, and so on. But I think the determination of the Thai people at large is to have a truly democratic Kingdom of Thailand. I have been working throughout my life to this very day and the rest of my life in order to bring about democracy for the Kingdom of Thailand. Be a bit patient. We have our shortcomings, we have difficulties, but we will have to overcome that. And I think we have achieved a lot in terms of being a very open and tolerant society. But there are still some obstacles, inhibition, and so on. But we keep on fighting for it until the very day that we can achieve full democracy within the context of a kingdom.
Kasit Piromya and Andrew Marshall, great to have you both on the Newsmakers. Thanks so much for joining us. He murdered, raped, and tortured innocent civilians, and his cruelty earned him the nickname the Terminator. Bosco Ntaganda was one of the most feared warlords in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And the International Criminal Court just ruled that he'll spend the next 30 years behind bars. It's the ICC's toughest ever sentence for a convicted war criminal. But for a man who committed some of modern Africa's worst atrocities, is it enough? Well, let us ask Michael Chibangu. He's the president of the Association for Development and Democracy in Congo, a non-profit organization working for the development of the DRC. He's also an advisor to opposition politician Moise Katumbi. So your immediate reaction to the news, is this justice?
Well, we get a feeling of justice finally being done. This is a person that for the past decades or so has been terrorizing the population in Eastern DRC, and so ruthless to the extent that the people nicknamed him Terminator, because he went about terminating people's life, killing population, and he went to a point that there was the feeling of impunity. To see such a person being given such a lengthy sentence is actually, for us, a beginning of something good, of justice being done. And we hope that it serves as an example to other warlords in DRC who are doing what Bosco has been doing.
The DRC was a playground for a lot of powers, especially at the height of the conflict, I guess, in the 1990s. And he was, Ntaganda, a hired gun for a lot of people who were more powerful than he was, at the head of nation states at different times. Is there a feeling that he's kind of a middle-level warlord, but there were people more important or more nasty that got away with it?
Well, in terms of Bosco, of course, there are people who are higher level than he was. But I think this is a start. And unfortunately, in DRC, we've had the habit of rewarding people who engage in such behavior. Bosco himself was a general in a DRC army. Can you imagine a person who has been committing atrocity, rather than being punished, he was rewarded? And of course, we think justice should go further. There are people higher up who have done also created rebel groups which have engaged in similar activity to that of the Bosco Ntaganda, and we feel that whilst this is the beginning, we should go all the way up, and justice should be done so that the victim can at least have something. Those people have suffered a lot. You can imagine women being raped, and in some occasion they forced children to rape their own mothers. So they've done some terrible things, and we feel that justice has to be done, and this is the beginning.
Well, when you add up all the individual counts, it goes up to more than 200 years or so, but he's got the maximum sentence, or the highest sentence, since the ICC was even founded, 30 years. In the context of things, is that something that is a deterrent? Is that something that others would look at and think, oh no, maybe I need to come clean about my crimes?
Indeed, it sends out a strong message. 30 years is quite a lengthy sentence, and for people like that, we feel it's sad because they've not had that. We've not had any form of justice. The victim have not had any form of justice. So this indeed is an example of what could happen to other warlords who in DRC, because as we speak, there are still other militias who in the eastern part of DRC are terrorizing the population, killing and raping women. So yes, this is an example, and in the case of Bosco, it's worth noting that this is just only concern one area of DRC. Bosco and his group went about doing the same thing in other parts of DRC, and there may be another case brought against him. But yes, it sets us a clear example that those justice will catch up with those who engage in such activities. It's only a matter of time.
So all things considered, this was a good day for justice in Congo.
Absolutely. This was a very good day for justice, a country that,
Right.
as you've mentioned at the beginning, that has been, has went through years of war, decades of war, and a lot of atrocity committed. And those who committed atrocity were, if anything, given immunity and rewarded, which was something that was totally unacceptable for us. And to see that finally we have somebody like Bosco being given such a life sentence, we feel that it is a very good day for justice, and we hope that it will go further, it will continue, that they will go around and do the same thing for other warlords who are still doing what Bosco did.
Michael Jibangu, good to talk to you. Looking forward to having you back on the program sometime soon. I thank you very much for joining us here on the Newsmakers.